Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons, back with some more musical goodness for you. Specifically, this quick guitar trick looking at how to play a Texas shuffle. In this quick guitar tricks, we're looking at how to play a Texas shuffle using that intro demo as the basis. I'm the first to admit there are a ton of players that can do this way better than I do, with much more swagger and groove while still keeping it nice and clean. But my hope here is I can help you guys avoid some of the pitfalls that stopped me from being able to play this with any degree of consistency for quite literally years. As usual, the tabs and that sort of thing are up on my patreon.com/JBFmusic. If you find this one a bit too tricky and just want a how to bluff it type option, check out the little eye up there. If you enjoy this, please consider letting me know with the old like and a comment. They really help out the channel in general and also mean this video is much more likely to pop up in searches so you can help other players get the information they're looking for. Feel free to hit subscribe and do that enable all notifications thing to make sure you never miss out on new content. Housekeeping well and truly done, let's just get into it. Okay, my plan is to break this down into the different components that make it up. Firstly, the basis of it. You're doing a down strum, then an up. Low strings, then high. With that rhythmic shuffle, that sort of bounce feel. Whether you want to just play the low E, or this power chord, it's up to you. So that's the open E string and the second fret on the A. You can also get away with hitting the G, B and E strings, or simply the E and B. Now, some guys like to do fancy stuff here, either moving the pick in a circular motion, or more of a figure of 8. I'm just keeping it simple. But you probably do tend to get more of that behind the beat laid back vibe with the figure of 8. What we've got so far is a down strum. I'm using the open E and the second fret on the A. And then I'm just playing the open E and B on my up. With that shuffle feel. The next component is where it starts to get tricky. You mute with your left hand. I'm going to take a wee minute on this because this held me back for absolutely ages. The best method I've found is to try and keep your wrist straight. Some tips on how to do that with a little eye up there. But I used to try and play it like this. Let me tell you, that isn't fun at all. You can probably work that out with a dreadful sound in that there. So to do this better method with the straight wrist, I like to keep my thumb poking out the top here. Not essential, but it just really helps me with this type of playing. See what works for you. The other thing I like to do is take my hand totally off the fretboard as I hit these open strings and bring my fingers back down to mute them out. You'll also notice my fingers are pointing kind of towards my face rather than straight up. So far, to recap, straight wrist, fingers pointed towards myself, down, hand completely off, upstroke, left hand muting. Right, I take a wee minute just to try that out. I'll give you a few seconds if you want to pause the video. If that's feeling okay, we'll add in the next component. Here we hit the 3rd fret on the low E string. I'm using my 3rd finger for reasons that will become apparent shortly. Your fingers will still be flush against these top strings from having muted them, so we need to lift them slightly. For me, I'm probably sort of bending my 3rd and 2nd finger knuckles here. Perhaps pushing my forearm slightly forwards this way. Or even bending my wrist just a tiny bit to let those strings ring out. Then we slide up a semitone to the 4th fret while simultaneously hitting the open E and B strings. And bring your fingers back down to mute out those strings. Strum down, finger lift, slide and play. Once more, strum down, finger lift, slide and play. As a side note, you can opt to hammer on here rather than slide. I just find the slide easier, and I think it gives me slightly more note definition. If you do want to hammer, you might need to let your arm move towards the body, so rather than trying to anchor yourself down, let your hand move so you can keep that wrist nice and straight. If I don't do that, my fingers just go everywhere and it ends up a really awkward angle. I do apologise if this minutiae or the detail is too much for you, but if someone had pointed this stuff out to me years ago, I would have gotten this down way sooner and with much less frustration. If you can do it totally intuitively, more power to you. If on the other hand all this muting stuff is completely new, you might want to check out my top 10 muting tricks with the eye up there. So again, down, up and hand off, down and mute, slide and up strum. Down, up hand off, down and mute, slide it up. Alright. On the plus side, this is by far the hardest part, so if you can get it, the rest will be pretty straightforward. If it takes some time, then that's totally normal. This is quite a difficult thing to do. I also find that not holding the notes down too hard, like, a death grip, really helps out here. For some more tips on getting just the right amount of pressure dialed in, check out the little eye in the corner there. Hit this note, the second fret on the A with the down, lift your hand off the fretboard and hit the open strings, just like we did before. Bring your hand back down to the fretboard, and as your fingers mute the top strings, hold down the 4th fret on the A string. Again, lift your hand off the fretboard and hit the open strings with an up strum. With that half of the bar, down, fingers off and up strum, down with fingers muting out the high strings, hand off and upstroke on the top strings. So from the top of this bar, one final time through all these little motions. Down, hand off and up strum, down, mute out the top strings, arch fingers, slide up and strum, down and mute out the top strings, hand off and up strum, down and mute the top strings, hand off and up. The entirety of bar 1. Good news, the next bar is pretty much the same. We're playing a down on the 2nd fret on the D string, muting those top strings. You're then doing hands off and up strum. Down on the 3rd fret, you want to mute those top strings, arch your fingers, slide up and strum. So it's a down while muting the top strings, hand off and up. Then playing this 3rd fret with the same slide up and strumming up on the open strings. Playing the 2nd fret on the A string with the down, muting the top strings. You then have the same hand off and up. We're going to have a slight change. We're going to hit the open strings. Well, what were the open strings? Both on the 2nd fret. So 2nd fret on the B and the E. You can get away with playing the 2nd fret on the G here if you really want to. As I say, I'm missing that out. But you want to play those and then pull off to the open. So that's a down strum on the 2nd fret on the B and E, and then pull off. So for this bar, you've got the down, up and open strings, mute, arch the fingers, slide up and open strings, down and mute, up with the open strings. We're going to hit the 2nd fret on those strings on the down and pull off. And that bar. Alright, and now both bars. And time for the even better news. When we play over the A chord, it's just the same idea, but we're moving all the notes we played on the lower strings, so those will be the ones on the E, the A and the D strings, we're moving them up by a string to the A, the D and the G. So hopefully you can see it's just the same as before, but those notes are moved up a fourth. Alright, the next two bars are just the same as bars 1 and 2, so we can breeze past them for now. At this point in the chord progression we're playing over a B chord, and while you could find a way to keep this groove going over that, it's probably much more common to do some sort of fill. Here I'm sliding on the G string from the 2nd to the 4th fret, 3rd fret on the B, I'm doing that thing twice. Then I'm sliding it again, but this time I'm playing the open B string as well, so we got some of that really nice doubling effect going on. I'm going to slide in, play that twice more. On the 3rd time we're going to hit it, slide down to the 2nd fret, and then pull off to the open G. So that bar. I've kept the next two bars pretty simple just to help compensate for that monstrous new technique that we've had to endure for the previous 8 bars. We're picking these 3 notes twice each. A little hammer on from the 3rd to the 4th fret on the A string, up to the 2nd fret on the D, and a similar idea on a lower string, picking these 3 notes twice each. And I'm doing a little quarter tone bend on this 3rd fret, and then the open string. Not dissimilar to some of the classic blues cliches I've covered before, more on those with a little eye up there, which I'm sure long-term viewers may have already noticed. On that note, shout out to Lick Squad Elite, you guys rock. And the next bar here, we've got a bit of vibrato rather than a quarter tone bend, so I'm giving it quite wide vibrato because I'm kind of hitting at the major 3rd here, hitting that 4th fret. And then we're just hammering on, or you can pick these notes if you want. Open A, 1st fret, 2nd. Little bit of vibrato there. Finishing up by hitting a kind of partial B7 chord. And then the next bar where you would repeat the whole progression, I've just ended it on an E major, because we're doing an abridged version of a Texas shuffle here. Okay, just before I run through the whole thing slowly, we'll take a moment and look at the chord progression, which is a pretty standard one for a Texas shuffle. You could think of these chords as dominant 7 chords or major, but essentially it's an E for 4 bars, A for 2, E for 2 bars. That's the shuffly part though. Then we've got a B for 1 bar, an A for 1 bar, back to the E for a bar and a half, switching back to this B, that little partial dominant 7th, a little turnaround for the 2nd half of the bar. And as I say, rather than playing this final E chord, you just repeat the progression. Okay, so now let's do the full thing with the tabs on the screen. this, you'll probably also like those 7 licks on how to bluff slide guitar. This has been Quick Guitar Tricks, that's the playlist there. Yeah, hit subscribe to keep up to date with the channel, leave me a comment, check out the tabs on my Patreon, and enable all notifications by ringing that little bell on the side if you feel so inclined. Cheers guys.